people, how are you doing today? I am doing great. I am too. So welcome to Knacks Together, where we share knowledge, share skills, spread love all around. For those of you who are here for the first time, we hope that you like what you see and you decide to join the community. And who knows, you may find your plum here, or better yet, your Uri. For those of you who are returning subscribers, a massive welcome back to you, and thank you so much for coming back and for holding it down for me. I truly appreciate you, and blessings and more blessings to you. Today's video is actually an extension of the other video. It was too long, I decided to split it. But yeah, so today's video is about going into the new. Whether it's a new day, whether it's a new job, whether it's a new era of your life, whether it's a new year, a new age added onto your life, whatever it is, going into the new. What do you go into the new with, right? Do you go into the new carrying on yesterday's baggage? Do you go into the new with absolutely nothing? Do you go into the new with expectancy, or do you go into the new with expectation? Yeah, so going into the new, most of the time we have things like New Year's resolutions. There's a whole lot that goes on, right? Or channeling into going into the new. What I would like to say is going into the new, like for instance on a birthday. Do you just feel like it's a birthday, we party, we celebrate that I have another year on this earth, I have been graced enough to see another year on this earth, and then we go on? Or do you guys normally have this scenario where please pardon me for that. As I say, please comment down below, what do you do when you have your birthday? Do you sit down and say, this is the end of the year and the beginning of another year for me? Or does the beginning of a year for you start in January? Or does it start in August? Because I know, like for instance, a 2 year starts in August. When does your year start? And how do you start your year? That is a question that I'd like to pose to you, Katie fam. Do you have New Year's resolutions, or do you have New Year's revolutions? Right? Revolutions, I've heard this from one of my friends. He just didn't like the whole resolution thing, but more revolution. What are you going to revolutionize in your life in the new year? So, do you feel the need to revolutionize anything at all? Do you feel the need to resolve anything at all? Do you feel the need to evolve yourself, to change yourself into, or transform yourself, transform your mind into someone who is different than what you are today? Or do you just go into the new year like, what, it's just asleep in the rise of the sun the next day? There's nothing, there's no difference between yesterday and today. And do you feel the need to revolutionize a year, a month, a week, a day? Which one of those do you normally say, this is new, I'm going to become new, I'm going to welcome it with both hands, I'm going to make the best of what I have? For me, I actually do the birthday one. Although it's not immediate, even the New Year's one is not immediate. I know in my mind when my birthday approaches, that I'm starting a new year. And in this year, I have 1, 2, 3 that I want to see myself accomplish. And in those 1, 2, 3, I want to see the purpose of God in this particular year and in this particular age. I want to see the grace and the purpose of God in this year for me. What is it that He has put in my hand to produce in this year, to multiply in this year? That is what I go through on my birthday. And then I gradually start implementing all of those things. And then my birthday is actually in September. And then come November, December, then I guess that's, for me, that's when there's a stronger push on the gradual implementation of what I had already started. I don't know, it just feels like there's motivation, and within December is actually a time of relaxation. For some weird reason, I find that within the period of December is when I'm a little bit more at rest, and because I'm at rest, I'm able to think through certain things, and I'm able to start planning properly and to fit certain things where they are. I feel that they're supposed to be fitted. Where do you start the revolution? When do you start the implementation of what you are, of what you want to see yourself become? And this year, especially for me, if I may share, I want mentorship to be the prime aspect of my growth and my revolution. I've always had mentorship, subtly so. I've always had mentorship in my life, whether it was something that I was conscious about or something I wasn't conscious about, mostly unconscious. But I've always also had people whom I mentor, and I'm not necessarily conscious about it when I do it, that it's mentorship. Only when I watched a TED talk about mentorship, and I was listening to I was listening to Joyce Meyer, right? And she was saying that find someone who has at least a 30-year gap between you and them, and find out their life experiences, what they fell short at, how they overcame, what they think or they wish they would have done better, so that you can actually avoid such mistakes. And it gives you sort of a push forward. And to me, it reminds me of the story of Naomi and Ruth. Naomi is Ruth's mother-in-law, but she loses her sons and her husband. And she tells 2 of her daughters-in-law to go back to their homes because their husbands have died. She wants to leave the place where she is and go back to the place where she came from with her husband many moons ago. And one daughter says, okay, I'll go back home. And then Ruth is like, no, I am going where you're going. I'll die where you die. I'll eat where you eat. I'll sleep where you sleep. Your people will be my people. And she follows. So Ruth becomes a mentee and Naomi becomes a mentor. They walk their journey, and like Naomi becomes discouraged and depressed, and Ruth is there for her in that time, and it changes the dynamic right there, right then. Naomi is discouraged and depressed, and Ruth is like there for her. Now a mentee is there for a mentor in that point, at that point in time, right? And then they get to Naomi's home place or birthplace. They're trying to make their life there once again. Naomi is now old, Ruth is younger. Naomi doesn't have the strength or the capacity emotionally to go and find something for them to live with or to live on. And Ruth is like, I'm young, I've got the muscle, I've got the energy, I've got it all. I'm gonna go and glean after people at the fields. And then Naomi's like, go. So Ruth goes, she gleans after the people in the field. She becomes seen by the owner of the field, Boaz, and then Boaz is like, he takes a liking. Like, if you read, you can see, like, okay, he sees her, he sees the ethic within her, and he gets told who she is and how she came to this place, with whom she came to this place, and probably takes a liking in Ruth. We're not mad at that at all. And then Ruth goes back home, and then he tells Ruth that she can come back. And he also tells his workers that you need to treat her in a certain way. Ruth goes back to Naomi. Naomi says, okay, this is how you need to be. Go. Naomi is prepping her up, setting her up to be seen properly, right? So then this has now turned into a story time. Kind of. But anyway, so Ruth then goes back and offers himself to Boaz, and Boaz is like, but there's a certain tradition that I need to follow. And then the tradition plays out, and then they become one another. They become each other's person, and they get married, and they conceive. And the scripture actually says, the people were saying, Naomi has a child. And it wasn't Naomi who had a child, it was actually Ruth who had that child. And that to me says mentorship is not just for me. My win is your win. After you have mentored me and I win at something, you win at it as well. After I have mentored you and you win at something, it's my win too. When Ruth became pregnant and she conceived and bore a son, everybody around was saying it was Naomi's son. So I really do think mentorship is a great thing. And I think mentorship can actually give us a platform, a step further from where we could be without mentorship. So whatever opportunity that we get to be mentored, grab it with both hands. Whatever opportunity that we get to mentor someone else, we need to grab that with both hands as well. And I was reading this one book, I don't know if it's here. Yeah, it is. It's this book called True Riches by Jeff List. One of the most wonderful people I have met. Wonderful teachers, financial teachers I have met. You will see that the new morphology of Knacks Together is actually has actually come from the mentorship that I got from this book. Knacks Together is now putting to the forefront 4 of some of the most important areas in our lives. Like I said before, the spiritual or the spirit, health, relationships, and finances. I took that from the mentorship of this book. What Jeff points out at some point in this book is the fact that generosity is like the flowing of a river, right? A river that has tributaries but has no distributaries becomes a dead river, regardless of how much water comes from the tributaries. And he likened this river to like the Dead Sea. There's water coming into the Dead Sea, but because there isn't an outlet, there is a whole lot of minerals that concentrate, pack up, accumulate in that river. And because they do accumulate in the river, there's a lot of salts and all of those things, and the river ends up not having life. Mainly also because there isn't capacity in this river to dilute the waste that is within the river. So life starts deteriorating, it starts dying. Like if you are a student of science, you know that if there are too many minerals in whatever water body, then there's eutrophication, which is a form of pollution and all of that. So everything within that starts dying, right? So he likens it to the Dead Sea, and the river, or a person who gives. He likens or makes an analogy of this person to the River Jordan, which has tributaries and also has distributaries. What happens is, even if there are waste from the life bodies within this river, these wastes are able to get out and get diluted by new water coming through, because it's not stagnant. It's able to go into the other parts of the world, feeding other rivers, feeding lakes, feeding whatever other water bodies that there are there. So mentoring for me is more like what Jeff speaks about here. When you are able to give someone skills and knowledge, you're able to give someone and prep them up, equip them so that they can start moving in what they are supposed to do, then that is an incredible thing. We've seen mentoring throughout the Bible. Elijah mentoring Elisha, Jesus himself mentoring his disciples. We've seen it throughout the Bible in one form, one way or another. Or the apostles themselves mentoring their successors, and so on and so forth. And I really do believe in mentoring, and whatever platform you have to mentor someone, whether it is by tutoring them a subject, that is incredible. You are creating there for yourself something that no one can take away from you ever, regardless of what happens to you. No one can ever take away what you have done to make that person's life better and to make your own life better. Their win is your win. Remember that. Tutoring, for me, that's another one of my fortes. The other thing that you can mentor someone at is, especially the younger generations. I know, I just said the younger generations. It's okay. Especially the younger generations. Sometimes they haven't had the opportunity to grow up in places where we got to grow up. For instance, I grew up with my grandmom. I got to see life at the basics, okay? And it wasn't the basics of the basics, but it was the basics. I got to cook with a primus stove. I got to do so many different things that the generation nowadays don't have the opportunity to they don't have the opportunity to do what we got to do. And because of that, when there is a lack of something, for instance, if there's a lack of ingredients, or if there's a lack of, say for example, there is a particular tool or instrument that isn't available, you find that they become perplexed. Like, what am I supposed to do now because I don't have that? I really believe that mentoring, or showing them that you can use anything that is in your hands, you can use it, it is at your disposal, that is a great help. This brings me to one of my favorite scriptures in 2 Kings 4. Right. The Shunammite woman who goes to the prophet Elisha and pours her heart out about what is happening in her life and how that is affecting her. The prophet Elisha says to her, "What shall I do for you?" And we don't see her replying to what he asked. Instead, we see the prophet going back again and saying to her, "What do you have?" Right? And she tells him, "A jar of oil." And take note, if she has nothing already and she only has a jar of oil, that oil may also be, if you think about it, it may also be at the very bottom, or there may be half of it, or it may still be at the brim. We don't know, but this is opportunity for a miracle to happen, right? So we find that Elisha makes her realize that there's something in her hands, right? And because there's something in her hands, there is obviously something that can come out of whatever's in her hands. So I believe the same, that whatever is at our disposal, even if we don't feel like it will be of any worth or of any help to what we want to do, I'm telling you, God can give you a strategy to make that into something. And I know I'm preaching to myself right now. Whatever I'm saying, I'm also telling myself, I'm reiterating it. It's what I've always believed. But sometimes when waves come, you sort of lose sight and lose focus. And like Peter, you start to go under until you refocus your attention onto your Maker or your Savior once again. So this, what I have just mentioned here, it also is preaching right back at me. What do I have? What can I do with it? And all that. I'm telling you what I'm about to tell you because you're dear to my heart, and I just want to be upfront with you. I am currently not employed, but pardon me, I have the education, I can find the means, I have the productivity, I have the energy, I have the youth and the talent, the gifts to do it. I need to do it regardless of whether I have a job or I don't have a job. I really don't want to be like on the last day that I'm here on this earth and God is like, what did you do? And I'm like, you didn't tell me what to do. No, he did. He put the seed in my hand. He gave me so many platforms. I just didn't use the platforms. Well, I did some. But for some I didn't. I just didn't use the platforms, and this year I'm determined to use as many platforms of my talent and my gift as I possibly can. One of them being this channel, YouTube, and sharing with you whatever can help progress us forward. I'm not there yet, but I'm gonna speak like I'm there already, because my faith says I should put action to what I want to see happen in my life. So with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much for watching. If you've watched up until this far, thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you. Bless your heart, bless your soul, bless your dreams. Let's keep the fire burning, let's keep the hope going, let's keep spreading the love. And what does God require of us but to do justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God? Love you.